in Cardiff. Now, Tom, you and I have a bit of history. We have actually been good friends for a very long time indeed. In fact, it is 16 years since we first met, which you can feel the white hairs on my chin growing a bit further as we talk about this.
Yeah, there's a few lines associated with that age range. That is quite a long time. Yes, we've known each other for a long time. Yeah, we went to university together at the same time.
Yes, we were. We Aberystwyth University, and then of course we were singers as well. But the big thing that of course we both enjoyed as well was gaming, which you've got this brand new coming out. Well, I say brand new. It's actually been around for a couple of years, hasn't it?
Yes, we started in 2018, and yeah, I suppose PlayFrame is a brand that's associated with gaming. I call myself a gaming technologist under PlayFrame, and it's about using games in like education, enrichment, and outreach. But that has also basically turned into also a small little development organization with those a development house with those objectives in mind. So we do a range of different things. We do. From the very simplest, I do a weekly teen tabletop club here in Cardiff where people play Warhammer and Dungeons and Dragons and board games and stuff, trying to get kids off phones but also into tabletop experiences. But then at the flip side of that is I might take VR into care homes and try and give older people who don't have mobility necessarily the chance to visit local places that we filmed in 360 VR. So I suppose I do kind of direct a lot of my attentions to what we call a kind of a tactile gaming, which is either tabletop, which is board games and tabletop role-playing games. Obviously, with the huge explosion in Dungeons and Dragons popularity, that's a big part of my work now. But then also virtual reality was actually often how I started, which was taking VR into schools and giving people VR experiences for the first time. And also we developed a small VR app as well for a separate project involving the Cardiff Museum, actually, of all people. But yeah.
Oh, amazing.
I could go on and on about all my different projects. But yeah, there's a range of different stuff that we do. But the main thing is it's using it for wellness, for outreach, for education, enrichment, and it's all about seeing the possibility that games have for doing just good in the world, more than just pure entertainment, although I have no problems with just entertainment as well.
Absolutely, because it's definitely something with gaming, so I do really appreciate with PlayFrame is framing gaming to not just being, as I was saying just before the interview, about how a lot of people perceive gaming as being this very hyper-competitive environment with a very toxic environment in parts as well. But gaming does have a lot more impact than just, being the best shooter in a first-person shooter like Call of Duty or getting beaten in the big final boss. There's a lot more to it, which PlayFrame definitely seems to showcase when it comes to the community aspect, when it comes to friendship making. I mean, I know of many people who have ended up raising families, all sourced from first meeting in a video game together, whether it was through a TTRPG or a tabletop role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, or in Warhammer 40,000, because of course that is my other affliction of addiction. You knew full well 15 years ago my wonderful addiction, which I'm getting back into at the moment. And of course we've had Space Marine 2 come out in the last couple of months, and they've just announced Space Marine 3, even though they've only had the game out a couple of months already. So it's definitely going quite well, because with the teen club, that's based at Firestorm, isn't it? Which is
Firestorm
a huge bunker in Cardiff, which I've only visited once, but I was very impressed, to say
well,
the
now
least.
it's they I don't know if you've been recently, but they moved to, well, it's in a few years now, but they moved to a big car showroom on Sloper Road in
That's
Cardiff.
the one.
And it's absolutely immense gaming space, and one of the premium places in the country actually to do tabletop gaming. It's certainly at scale, and they've done really well with lots of tournaments playing there. Lots of small games might have massive communities, but that place can host them, like Vanguard, an anime card game that I've never met anyone who actually plays, but then one day in the year thousands of people turn up at this one place to play it. They do really well at that because they've got such a great venue, but they support us fantastically with giving us a load of space. I had 40 young people there on Friday playing Warhammer and role-playing games, and also building Gunpla. That's just a recent thing they've really got into.
I really want to get into that because I just started watching Gundam in recent
me too,
months. So we're talking about a friend of mine, Faye, who she does a lot of TTRPG stuff. Very similar. She'd love some of the stuff you've made. but she's deep into Gundam, and she's been guiding me through everything. So I started watching Iron Blooded Orphans, saw the original Mobile Suit Gundam, the story of Char, and it's great. I mean, you got giant robots with swords, with guns. It's perfect for me. It's just exactly all I want. So I might look
and the
into
hobby
that.
side of it, the way that they build these amazing models, they're a lot cheaper than some of the Warhammer models, and actually for a lower engagement point. Kindling Club is for year 7 up, so what that means is they're going to be 12 or 11. They've just entered big school, and then we kind of take them in as a kind of a haven for the geeks who want to hang out with other people. But sometimes they're a bit intimidated by the level of like investment and painting that they need to do with if they want to get into Warhammer or even just doing miniatures for role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons. But Gunpla, you build a model, you don't have to do any painting, you actually just you effectively like almost building a toy, but the quality in it is something way beyond anything that we ever bought from Woolworths back in the 90s. And it's there's a lot of fun that you can have with just the arts and crafts side of it. And I do always say to parents when they're getting their kids into Warhammer, I'm like, just to be clear, this hobby is over 50% arts and craft. Like it's a nice modeling and painting hobby with a game on the side.
Pretty much. I mean, for me, I've got miniatures that I just finished one a couple of weeks ago, which I started in 2008, which is the pile of shame, as it's referred to, is quite drastic. But
I mean, I call it potential art. Don't have any shame on it. Like there's. I think games have value even if you don't play them very often. Sometimes they just exist because as a future opportunity that you will get down to the table and you will get out War of the Ring for one more time to play with your long-suffering wife for an 8-hour game of playing the Lord of the Rings game or something like that. Like I think they have value even if you don't get them to the table regularly. Especially in the RPG world, which we engage with as quite a lot, as we actually have produced now several TTRPGs. For your audience that might not know what that is, the shortcut is to say Dungeons and Dragons, because a lot of people's main knowledge of the game world that it's part of is through this big property. But it's a bit like saying all wargaming is Warhammer, when that's not true. There's a huge range of other things like smaller, less complex actually games experience. But effectively a TTRPG is when it's a tabletop role-playing game where one person usually adopts the role of the game master, and they are the narrative kind of storyteller, and the other players, people around the table, adopt player characters that go through an adventure together, and it's almost like a collaborative storytelling adventure experience. We make simple ones which lean more into experiences that are narrative first, but obviously there are much more complicated ones like Dungeons and Dragons, where it's almost there's so many rules that you could play it effectively as a
book is
tabletop
about
board
that
game, really.
thick.
Yes, 400-page rule books.
You just drop it, everything on the table just shakes immediately.
Yeah.
But speaking of the ones you've developed, we're actually going to be talking about that in a couple of moments, because we're going to be sneaking in one click song in between. Now, this is one, when it comes to gaming, you and I will know very well. Now, anyone who is possibly doing any ironing or washing up, or if you're cutting your vegetables, maybe not do any actions to this particular one. We're going back to Guitar Hero with this track. It's going to be Dragon Force Through the Fire and the Flames on its way. So we're going to dive into that, and we're going to be back for that second section now, talking all about Biosphere Guardians, some of the other creations you've created as well, which people here in Pembrokeshire can get into because they have access to it and all as well. So make sure you stay tuned, folks. It's going to be on its way in a few moments. First, though, it's going to be a little bit of music coming in from Dragon Force, taking us back to the late noughties, and your fingers are going to ache as soon as you hear this one. It's coming live here on Pure West Radio for Pembrokeshire, from Pembrokeshire. Don't be going anywhere. We're on our way.
Pure West Radio's Sunday Gaming Show is proudly sponsored by Mags Optics Harford West. You can also visit us at our